Ready? Okay, so we're starting on 16. Kalev ben Knazu. That's the end of the line. And by me, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the wide lines. How do we get into this? We said that Asniel ben Knaz is the brother of Kalev. The Gemara asks, Kalev ben Knaz or Kalev ben Yefunah? Kalev is not the son of Knaz. How is Asniel his brother? Asniel ben Knaz and Kalev ben Yefunah. One more page. That one.
Yeah, different fathers.
I hear you. So, the Gemara says, "My Yefuna." What is the name Yefuna? Shapana Matzas Meraglim. Really, his name was Knaz. His nickname was Yefuna because he's turned away from the advice of the spies.
Could you hold on 1 second? Jeff is just calling, so I could call him.
No. Maybe
I'm just gonna try to. Jeff, we're starting the class, okay?
Good morning. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
Morning, Jeff.
We're holding we're on 16a.
Okay.
We asked, Kalev is the son of Knaz, he's the son of Yefuna. He says, no, Yefuna is not his real name. Yefuna is just a name that means that he turned away from the advice of the spies. Rakati ben Knazu, you still want to say he's ben Knaz, ben Chetzrenhu. We have another source that says, Kalev ben Chetzren, Hele des Azuva. Kalev, the son of Chetzren, gave birth to Azuva. The Gemara explains in Saita that Azuva is actually Miriam, which was his wife. The reason why she's called Azuva...
But he didn't give birth to her. Yeah.
Wait a second. The reason why it's called Azuva is because... come from the same stock. So, is because she was forsaken because she was sick. She had leprosy. The reason why it's considered he gave birth to her is because he married her L'Shem Shemayim. Torah considers it as if he gave birth to her. That's what Rashi quotes from the Gemara Saita. Okay. And so Kalev is the son of Chetzren. So Amarava, Rabbi answers Churgi the Knazu. What's Churgi? Churgi is the half brother. Step brother. It's not, I keep getting myself. What's this? Step brother means that they share a mother. Share a parent. Okay. So Asniel and Kalev share a parent, and they have different fathers. So Asniel's father is Knaz, and Kalev's father is Yefuna. Okay. Tana was taught in a brisa, who Asniel, who Yavitz. I think what's going on here is that we have the Jewish history is recorded in Divrei Yamim as well, and some of the things have different names. Some of the people have different names in Divrei Yamim, so it gets confusing. So you say Asniel is Yavitz. Umash Shmai, what's his real name? Yehuda Shimon. Wow, Shmai. His name is Yehuda, the brother of Shimon. Asniel Sha'anukel. He's called Asniel because God answered him. Yavitz, he's called Yavitz. Sheyotz Ribas Torah b'Yisrael. He gave advice and he spread out Torah amongst the Jewish people. Remember, we said that he was the one who was able to return all those halachas that were forgotten with his pilpulim. So, Uminolan Sha'anukel, how do we know that God answered him? T'ksiv vayikra Yavitz alekei Yisrael leimar. In Divrei Yamim, right? It says that Yavitz called out to the God of Israel, saying, Baruch tevarcheni, you will bless me. Verbes yeskvulian, make larger my boundaries. Increase my boundaries. Thank you. V'haisa yadcha, Yimadi, I guess. Va'asu merasi, Your hand will be with me. You'll do my will. The bilti yatzvi, not to make me sadden. Vayavalikim esa shishal, and Hashem came and gave him what he asked. So now the Gemara explains what this means. In Baruch Tevarcheni, what does it mean if you will bless me? That means B'Torah. Gives him the knowledge in Torah. Bais Yeskvuli, increase my boundaries. B'Talmidim, more students. By Siyadchi Madi, your hand will be with me. Yishkach Talmudi Milibi, that I won't forget my learning. Va'asim Merasi, you'll do my will. She's Damli Reim Kamaisi, that you'll give me friends that are like me. I guess it means he'll be able to learn with them.
Is from the word rain.
Yeah.
Not raw.
Lebilti yatzvi, not to sadden me. Shlayasagveni yitzahara milishnis. Now, does that mean that to study Torah, that he shouldn't be overpowered by his yitzahara and not to study Torah? Imata isakain mutav. If God, you'll do this for me, then good. V'mlav harin haylach l'nesisi l'shal.
I've never heard of Nesisi in the Torah.
Nesisi is switching something here.
It's a grave.
Well, Sha'ol is the grave, right?
My affliction.
The Nesisi means in my style, or
This is my affliction.
behold, I will go to the grave with my affliction. What is that? 53. Onkelos by Yisiatsu, he says when Nesisi is distressed.
More on the word you say.
Okay. What does he say over there? Affliction.
You thought you were just going to bite it.
Heavy bite.
Okay, miyad, immediately, Vayavalikim es shishal, Hashem came and gave him what he asked. Kietzer b'davar ata'omer. Similar to this, we see Rosh v'ish techachim. Ish techachim apparently is translated as an average person. A poor person and an average person, nifgashu, they meet. Meir ein shneim Hashem. Hashem lightens the eyes of both of them. Shosha Talmud Helechitzel Rabbi. What does this mean? That a student goes to the teacher. Ramalei lamdeni Torah. Says, teach me. Imalamdai. If he teaches him, then Meir ein shneim Hashem. Then Hashem lightens the eyes of both of them. Bimlav Asher v'Rosh nifgashu. He quotes another pasuk that if a rich man and a poor man meet, Isekulam Hashem, Hashem makes them all Misha Isechacham Lazeh Isei Tipish. One that made him, and that was Misha So Chacham Lazeh Isei Tipish. Tipish Lazeh Isei Chacham. So they switch positions.
The rabbi becomes a student, and the
Right.
student becomes a
How
rabbi.
does he put the commas over there? Misha So Chacham Lazeh. That
That's
is
pretty
he
rough.
who has made this one a wise man will make him into a fool.
That way you're supposed to hang
How's
it with
that
the tipish.
mathematically possible?
Fool make him
You don't respect and teach the students, then you're going to become a fool.
It's called karma. Goes around, comes around. Jewish karma.
Yesterday at the bris, so my brother-in-law Aryeh mentioned this to me, and he mentioned it in the context of Hillel. That it says the converts came to Hillel to study Torah. It doesn't say that Hillel found them some guy to learn with. Because he sat with them and he learned with them. That's what it was doing. It was okay. Zu Mishnas Reb Nassan. This is the Mishnah of Reb Nassan that learns this pasuk all about the Yavitz or Asniel ben Knaz asking Hashem for Torah and Talmidim. Rabbi Yudah Nasi Aimer, he learns this different. Rabbi Yudah Nasi says in Baruch Tevarcheni, the same pasuk, as if you will bless me, B'Peri V'Rivya, that means with offspring. B'Beisi Yes Gvuli, B'Banim B'Banais, he'll have children. V'Haisi Yad Chayimadi B'Masa B'Matan, and your hand will be with me in business. V'Asis Merasi, how do they translate Merasi? I was reading it as will, but maybe that's the Aramaic. Keep me from harm. Mirah, from harm. I won't have headaches, right? I won't have earaches or eye aches. And not to sadden me. Well, so he does throw in the Torah here as well into this pshat. I shouldn't have the Yetzirah to not to study. If you do this for me, then good. I'll go in my affliction to the grave. And then Hashem gave him what he asked. You see, all of this is explaining that it says Asniel is Sha'anikel, that God answered him. So we're explaining how he asked for something and God answered him. If a poor man and an average man meet, Hashem enlightens the eyes of both of them. The poor man goes to the Bais, says, support me, sustain me. If he gives him sustenance, then mutav him lav. If not, we quote the other pasuk, Ashiv Rash Nifkashu Esakulam Hashem, Misha Sawasha Lazeh, Esaisa Ani. The one that he made him rich, Naomi makes him poor. Ani Lazeh, Esaisa Asher, he makes him, the poor man, he makes him wealthy. So the Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah.
Okay. You quote this, huh? There's a lot of tactics. Okay. Amar Reb Shimon Mamatzina. Reb Shimon says that a korban tzibur that was atoned already is not put to death.
The animal.
The animal is not put to death. And if there are 5 chatayis mesis, Reb Shimon says it only applies to a korban yachid, not to korban tzibur. And his proof is, he says, look, 3 of them are only possible by a yachid. So therefore, the same thing should apply to the other 2. That's what we learned. Okay, so now we learn Amar Reb Shimon Mamatzino, just as we find. Temurah Rabbanan. Start in the Bais. Reb Shimon Eimer Chamish Chatayis Meisais. Reb Shimon says there's 5 chatayis that are put to death. What are the 5? Okay, Vlad Chatas. If a Chatas has an offspring, so you already brought the mother, but the extra one is the offspring, it's put to death. Temurah's Chatas. If you had a Chatas but you did Temurah on it, so you bring the original one and the Temurah, what do you do with it? It's put to death. Chatas Shemesa Ba'aleh. If the owner dies and you have inheritors, so that they don't bring the chatas, the parents' chatas.
So the owner dies. No, the chatas dies.
The owner dies and the chatas also dies. The chatas shekipur baleh. If the owners brought another korban, why? Because they lost it and then this one resurfaced, and they found this one, so they have an extra one put to death. Chatas shibur shenasa. If it was left for more than a year and it's too old, then what do you do with it? It's put to death.
Expiration.
Now, expiration date. Iyati yachalaymar. Now, Reb Shimon continues. He says you can't say Vlad Chatas B'tzibur, that a offspring is in a community sacrifice. Why? Chatas Nekeva B'tzibur, because we don't have a female Chatas. Iyati yachalaymar Temurah's Chatas B'tzibur. You can't say Temurah's Chatas B'tzibur. Why? L'fishein Tzibur is in Temurah. Because the tzibur can't do Temurah. You can't say chatas shemesu that the owners die. Because the community doesn't die. So therefore, what we're left with is the other 2. Shekipur balav shiver shnasa leimatzinu. We didn't find what to do with them. Maybe we should say that these 2 apply to both individual and community. Amrit. So say yilmaid sasam mimefurish. Learn what's unclear from what is clear. Mama first biyachid, just like what is clear, those 3, it's 3 and 2. Those 3 are only by an individual. It was said by an individual and not by the tzibur. In other words, what we know we'll spread over to what we don't know, and we'll keep it all in the same category. But it's only by an individual. The Gemara asks a very good question. How can you learn like that? Those three are impossible to apply by a community because it's simply, it's not possible. It's not a halacha, it just doesn't work. There is no such thing. You can't have an offspring from a male sacrifice. It's not that there's this special halacha that the offspring of a tziva. It just doesn't exist.
Except for a male seahorse.
Interesting.
Oh,
You know, that doesn't count.
See, the
You
Gemara-
got that from there.
See, the Gemara knew that,
That shows
but the
picture of
Gemara,
Nelson.
but we don't bring a sacrifice from a seahorse.
Or from a regular horse. I saw that on AOL, a picture of
When's
giving
the-
birth to
No.
hundreds of
Okay.
seahorses.
So this is an excellent question.
He gets the eggs from the woman.
And it says, what do we do over here? We skipped the parentheses. Amar Reish Lakish. Okay, now this is, to me, this Gemara was not 100% clear. I'll tell you what it says, and I'll tell you what's not clear. Reish Lakish comes in and says, Arba nasnu lehem. He says, actually, I'll translate it. There were four. We said that there's five halachas, five cases. Actually, there were really only four. He says. One of them we had a doubt, and because of that doubt, we didn't know what it was. V'midim al chamish. So we established that it's going to be all five. What does this mean? It means we have 5 cases here. 4 of them, the halacha was that it's put to death. The 5th one is the halacha is that you let it get a mum and you can eat it.
Eat it.
Yeah. After it gets a mum, it's a regular animal. Like other karbanas that get a mum, that you can't use or whatever, they get a mum. So this one case, the only problem is we didn't know which one it was. So we had to establish that all of them are put to death. Okay.
Anyone can eat or just a kind?
What's v'hemidum?
The Midim, they established it
Who's
on the
they?
5. Well, this is one of the ones that they forgot during the time of during the Eily Shel Moshe. Okay. Now, if you're going to say that they all apply in the community, Hanach Miesnu B'tzibur, those 4, do they apply in the community? Well, 3 of them definitely can't. El Karchach Yil Menachem first. So we learn the one that's not from the one that's the one that's unclear from those that are clear. Okay, I'll tell you what.
The same as Efsher Mashiach.
So
So
the same question is Chidan Nefesh Mishiyafsher. It looks like Reish Lakish is just like distracting us by throwing in another. I don't understand. I mean, I think Rashi is going through and explaining why, but it looks like it's just like you throw in another factor, but you're not answering the question. You're just distracting the. I don't know. Do you have any comment over there? In other words, does it help me by saying that instead of knowing all 5, and
He says here that this is an answer.
it is an answer.
He says the Gemara answer.
Okay, so let's just go over. All 5 we know are originally we thought all 5 are put to death. We knew that it applies to individuals. We didn't know if 2 of them apply to a community. So Reb Shimon says, look, 3 of them definitely don't apply to the community. So the others also are only by individuals, not community. So 1 second, those 3, it's not possible. You don't know. Maybe if it was possible, it would be different. You don't know. So we said, okay, 4 of them we know are put to death. 1 of them we don't know. We have to figure out what the other one is, but we just decided that it's no, 1 of them is definitely allowed to be eaten after it gets a mum. We didn't know which one it was. Okay, so we're going to say that they all have to be put to death now. And now, do they apply to the community or not? So we say, well, look, some of them clearly, what are we gaining here? We're saying that the 4 of them only apply to the, I guess that's the pshat. I guess what we're saying is that the 4 of them need to apply to the individual, because that has to be one category. Then has to be one category. Because if it would be like this, let's say 3 of them had one halacha and 2 of them had the other halacha. So then we would, let's say 2 of them were you wait till they get a mum, and 3 of them are put to death. Then we would have said very clearly that the 3 of them apply to the individual and the 2 apply to the community. But now that it's 4, so we have to have that one category altogether. We have to have that category altogether. So I guess that's what the Gemara is answering. So it needs to be only by the individual. Okay. Reb Nosson does the same thing, just the opposite. Reb Nosson Eimer achas nit lehem. One of them was one of these 5 cases was told to them that it was put to death. B'midu al chamish. But they didn't know which one it was. So they had to say that all 5 of them, all the other 4, get the strict halacha that is put to death. The Gemara says, 1 second. Why don't we look at which category it was referring to? There's one of them, we don't know which one, but at least we should know, is it one of the 3 or one of the 2? One of the 3 that are applicable only by an individual sacrifice, because it has to be female or whatever, or it's in the other one. And then we could establish, Iba Yachad, Iba Tzimur. So the Gemara says, they forgot 2 things. They didn't know which one it was, they didn't know which category it was. The Kashalu, and they had the question. V'isal k'daitich b'tzibur, hanach misnu b'tzibur. What's this aleph here? If it's applicable in the community, is it possible for those to have community? So he spells it out. He says that what we know clearly is that some of these cases need to be by an individual, and some of them could be by a community or an individual. But because we know clearly that some of them are only by an individual, so we'll extend that clarity over to the other cases, and it's only by an individual, not by a community. That's going to be Reb Shimon's explanation. Okay. Why is the Rashi so long? Because Rashi comes in over here and he tells us another interpretation here. Okay. The new Mishnah. Chaymer bekachim mi b'temurah. There are stringencies.
So at the end, do we say Danin Efsher Mashi Efsher or no?
I don't know. I think we're... I don't know.
Heavy duty. Motorcycle.
Do you have a conclusion over there in the article? Does it say?
Picture the motorcycle.
Don't be a builder.
Okay. So there's a stringency in original consecration over Temurah. Temurah is when I have an original consecration, I now extend it over to another animal. So and then the opposite. There's a chaymer b'temurah mi b'kachim. There's a stringency in Temurah, in secondary consecration, when you exchange over an original when you make something new, consecrated. Now we go back to explain. Chaymer b'kachim mi b'temurah. What's the stringency of the original over Temurah? Sha'kachim eisen Temurah. Because when you make an original one, you can then make Temurah off that one. Ve'in Temurah is Temurah. But Temurah doesn't make another Temurah. Hatzibur v'ashutvim makdishim. Community and partners can make something originally consecrated. Avalei memirim.
Let me ask. Coach, you make tomorrow. So, V'lo Yamir, right? But nonetheless, he goes. I have
cow A, cow B. So he says, I want to be exchanging it for cow B. So we say, this one's holy, this one's holy. Right there. But he's still not satisfied. He says, I'm going to go now and give it to cow C from cow 1. Is that still Temurah?
Oh, so that was a machlekes that we had. If chayzrin or makdishin, yeah. Remember that
We said you
Rabbi?
could
Remember
do
that concept?
multiple.
If you ask the Kohen,
No.
he'll say yes.
We
Mul-
said
no.
ain't.
No, you
Even-
can't do
even
from
the Kohen says
A
that?
to B can, but B to C, you say that
Once,
doesn't.
No,
once
so-
at all.
A.
One can't do
to
to
B.
3, but one can do one at a time.
That was
Go.
2 opinions. Yeah. Can you do it in subsequent?
That's what we learned. That's what
We learned machlekes, no?
I
Because
only-
remember
I only
Rabbi.
remember the end of it.
Remember Rabbi's question, that complicated question. You lost it in this, and can you do
Yeah.
Temurah
Yeah.
again?
It
That was
like the
based
fourth-
on that I can't do Temurah twice from the same animal. And is this the same animal because it was replaced, or it's the same
Begufa,
Kedusha, Begufa, the same Kedusha? So there were 2, it was based on
So
2
A to
opinions.
B. Now, what you're saying now is that B
B can't do
Temurah
C.
can't do C.
Yeah,
Now,
that's clear.
That's clear.
That's the problem.
Technically, I would say that,
Magic
well,
jacket.
A
Yeah.
can do B,
But
but
you
A
say, but
can
you
do
mean,
C.
You know what that means?
Okay? Technically,
mean?
if he got
You
B,
mean.
Malchus, for B, why would he want to do it again?
You know, the older
Uh-huh.
I mean, a person's making a
guy would
mistake
say,
for
"You want
Temurah
me to
because
put
he
my
hasn't got
threatening
Malchus.
jacket on?" You know, like-
Surely after a person got Malchus, he's not doing Temurah.
Yeah.
The gangster jacket.
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know the guy what his mindset is. Mental
Yeah.
frames, mental models. What's he thinking?
Insanity.
Serial Temurah.
Apparently, from all this, I'm getting that Temurah is a good thing.
Very good.
Like if you take away the kedusha with the possibility of an animal doing Temurah, it's considered a lower kedusha.
Uh-huh.
To
That's
be
why
able
we
to
give
do
you
Temurah
Malchus.
from an animal, regardless of that, to be able to do Temurah
Right.
from an animal is a good thing. You don't want, like the Gemara is fighting not to be able to take it away from the animal, from the
Uh-huh.
person.
Wait a minute,
It's
we
a
said it's a
weird
good
thing.
thing, but you get loca first.
I don't know about the like or not like. I'm just saying this whole.
He doesn't know anyone who got beaten.
It's like it's a big plus.
Good. To the beat.
What everyone's struggling with is what was the temptation to do that? If it's we're not getting what's the temptation? Why should someone want to do that?
I thought you said at the beginning because he had a better animal, and he
No,
said,
so
you know
you could be
what?
Because
mechallah.
it was, we're gonna
You
see.
could
We're
be
gonna see
mechallah.
soon.
What does
Actually,
he have
what's
to
the
do tomorrow?
shegig? Let's
You could be
take
mechallah
let's go
animal.
further.
Give another one.
Okay, then it says
Yeah.
makdishin uvrim be'ivarim. There's one opinion at least that holds that you can consecrate
They could have taken an Uber.
a fetus
Uber
and the limb. Avalei memirim,
faster.
but you can't do Temurah onto a fetus and the limb. That's what this was all going with one opinion in the that we had previously, that you can consecrate it, but you can't do Temurah onto it. Chaymer b'Temurah mi b'kachim. Now we go the other. Oh, Chaymer b'Temurah mi b'kachim. Okay, the other way. Temurah is more strict than kachim. The opposite. You have to adjust this word. Sheha Temurah. It's supposed to say. Yeah. Chala al bailas mum kavua.
That's a serious mistake.
Yeah, this happens.
You had Bamberg, who was a guy he set the first print of the Gemara. What do you expect from the guy?
They should change it.
So I had a chavrusa that was very into like the academic research and all of this stuff. So
Original print.
he learned like differently. So he would always tell me, he says, the worse the pshat is, the more correct it is. Because or else it would have been corrected. So it must be that the less it makes sense, the more true. I don't know if that's how the academics work things. I don't know.
The more you know, the more you forget.
Okay.
That's not even coffee, that's just orange.
So what's the stringency of Temurah? Temurah
The more you know, the more you forget.
Temurah could take effect
How do you get that?
on an animal that has a blemish. However, kudshim doesn't take effect on an animal that has a blemish. If the blemish precedes the kedusha, then it doesn't take effect. But by Temurah, it's not so. We have a special pasuk that says that bein tov, bein ra, that whether it's good or bad, that tells us that even though it has a mum, the kedusha goes on it. Vein yaitz l'chulon ligazes v'liyavet, and you can't say, oh, it has a mum. Now I could work the animal, even though it's the kedusha, which that would apply. You would be able to work an animal. If I tried to make a animal with a mum kodesh, and then I redeemed it, so that animal would be a regular animal that I can shear the wool and work it, because the kedusha never went on it fully. Here, by Temurah, it's not so. By Temurah, it had a mum. I make Temurah onto it; it becomes kodesh. When I redeem it, because I can't bring it as a sacrifice, I still can't work it or shear the wool. It's as if the mum came after it got kodesh. It was if it actually became a sacrifice. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda Aimer. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda says, "Asa shegig kamesid b'Temurah, v'lo asa shegig kamesid b'Makdashim." The Gemara is going to explain what this means, but by mistake is considered on purpose by Temurah, but a mistake is not considered on purpose by Kachim. We'll see what this means. In Rabbi Lazar Aimer, Hakalayim v'Atreifa v'Yetzi Doifim v'Timtum Andregan Aslei Kadoshim Lei Makdishim. These animals cannot become kadosh with Temurah, because you can't. Even though we just said that it's on a balmum, it could be, but kalayim is a crossbreed or a treifa animal. Treifa means that it's not going to live, or yetzi doifen is an animal. The animals that were never eligible to be sacrifices. If I want to extend the kedusha of one korban onto it, I say this should be exchanged over for that animal. It doesn't become